Nightwing. I was Robin, but I am no longer Robin. I've grown up too much to be that. Hey, guys. This is Mr. J for Fanboy JunKtion. And today we're going to I've got guest host DeMarcus here, and we're going to talk about our top 5 spaceships. So, DeMarcus, why don't you go ahead and say hi to everybody?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm back. Third time in the saddle.
Now, maybe if everybody begs DeMarcus, he'll actually come and do this every episode. But we'll just have to see. But today, guys, since we went way long last time, we're going to try and keep it more controlled and concise this time. But we're going to talk about our top 5 spaceships. But before we do that, we got to talk about the ugly spaceships. So I'm going to let DeMarcus start with what to you is the ugliest, worst spaceship of all time?
Ugliest, worst spaceship, man. I'm going to say my choice would be that ship that the kids put together in Explorers. That was ugly. I mean, I know it was supposed to be because the kid put it together, but it was ugly. It was dangerous. There's no way in hell they should have made it out of that. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the ship from Explorers, man. That ship was terrible. Even as a kid, it's funny. As a kid, I liked the movie, but I still didn't buy the spaceship. I liked the movie, I just didn't buy the spaceship. I was like, oh, this is like Goonies in space or something. It was terrible. So that's my pick.
Yeah, actually, we rewatched that the other day, and it's so funny. Like a PG movie today, or a PG movie from the '80s is not a PG movie now. And it was just one of those, we're watching it with Rain. I think she was about 6 at the time, and we're just kind of like, maybe we should watch this first before we let you finish it. Because they're dropping, like, ass, and I think they even said, like the S word a couple times. It was just kind of one of those, like, holy, like, yeah. Oh, wow, we don't let Rain watch that kind of stuff, but it was just kind of funny. It was just like, wow, completely different PG.
Yeah, totally different era. What's your pick for the ugliest?
I feel bad saying it because I'm a fan of that series in a way, not that specific series, but okay. Star Trek Voyager, the Voyager itself, it looks like an upside down garden trowel. I hated that ship. It was the worst design because most of the other ships look pretty cool, but like it was just like, no, let's just make it a upside down garden trowel, and yeah, I hated that ship. The show wasn't that good either, but I couldn't stand that ship.
Well, it's funny with the Voyager. Yeah, I'll agree with the weird look. It looked weird, and like the ship was supposed to be living. I'm not sure if it was necessarily living, but I know it had like biological matter on it. And so I guess it was partially living, but they didn't really do anything with it. I don't remember any episodes with the ship like being sentient or anything like that. So yeah, I mean it was kind of like a missed opportunity with Voyager. So yeah, not one of the best Starfleet ships.
Yeah, if it was beyond the first 6 episodes of that show, I have no idea.
I kind of looked at your expression like, what?
Yeah, I was like, it was one of those like, no, I didn't. I think the last episode I watched, I can't even remember. I just remember going, and I think I said that to you before. Is like when I watched the pilot and they didn't even do the final frontier. I was like, all right, you already checked out. And then a couple more episodes, I was like, nope, this isn't getting any better. All I think I told you this. All I kept wondering is like, when is Remo Williams gonna come out and save the captain? The captain's been captured, and Remo Williams shows up. Him and Chun.
Yeah. Our young viewers will get that old school stuff.
Yeah, no one has any idea what I'm talking about right now. That's great. What about you? Got any other ones that you just like honorable mentions of a horrible looking ship?
It's funny because I want to, like some ships, like from animation, you got to kind of give those a pass because the animation. Like I was gonna say the ship from Bucky O'Hare, the Righteous Indignation, but that's a goofy ship. I mean, it's supposed to be a goofy show, so I can't really count that one. But I like the name though. It was a pretty badass name. But oh man, yeah, like the ones that look bad are supposed to. Like, because the Galaxy Quest ship was supposed to, I was gonna say that one, but it's a parody of Star Trek, so yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, they're like, oh, let's make fun of it. And to me, I was like, it's better than some of the Star Trek movies that were out there. It was actually pretty good. The ship was kind of goofy, but you're right. I thought the movie was solid.
Yeah, it was like kind of like an inversion of the ship, like design wise. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I just hate the ship from the Explorers really bad.
Yeah, I kept trying to think like other ships. I thought, I don't know. I'd have to go too far into like trying to give an excuse to hate a ship because most spaceships, I mean, they're supposed to look cool, so they're not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I mean, Although I guess the only other ship I think is ugly in the sense of like, oh, we're gonna like express no design whatsoever is the Borg ship.
Yeah.
I just kind of thought like, hey, we got the coolest villain ever. What do they fly around in? A cube.
A cube with a bunch of pipes and crap, just
Yeah.
kind of like all over it. Yeah.
And I'm like, I know like it's space, so there's no friction, so it doesn't matter what it's shaped like. They're gonna fly no matter what. But it's just kind of one of those, a cube, like.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. They're supposed to be perfect. Wouldn't it be a circle? But whatever.
Yeah. If they well, I think there is eventually. I don't think on screen, but I know in the expanded. Do you call the books and stuff of Star Trek Expanded Universe? I don't know.
Yeah.
But in that, in the books and stuff, I know they eventually gave them a round ship, but then it just kind of looked like the Death Star. So what's the point? But yeah, a lot of people are kind of dreading them touching the Borg. When they start redoing, when they inevitably start redoing it. If they do, I really do hope they do something different with the ships, because yeah, just the cube's just not working.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go on to our ships that we like, and we're going to go back and forth.
Okay,
and
cool.
My list, I can't say it's in order. I definitely have my favorite of all time ship, but the other ships are kind of like, they're all equal. Like, I don't like any of them more than the other per se, but maybe I go chronologically. So the oldest ship that I have in my mind, well, no, it's not even the oldest ship technically, but definitely goes really far back, is the Gunstar from Last Starfighter. I thought that ship, the whole two-pilot thing I thought was cool.
Yeah.
The idea of the gunner being in the front and the pilot in the back, and then they would open up and do the Death Blossom. By the way, I don't know if DeMarcus is going to get a chance to, but I'm going to make a video for YouTube, and I'll put the link in there where you can actually see the ships I'm talking about. See, we do this as a Google Hangout. The normal shows, when I'm just by myself, I pre-record them and I put them in my editing bay, Final Cut, and then put pictures and everything and edit together. But with the Google Hangout, you can't do that. So that's why there's no intro, and I can't put any pictures on this. So I'm going to try and do a little video that shows like the ships I'm talking about. So that's the ship I'm talking about, is from the Last Starfighter, the Gunstar, and I just thought that was the coolest ship ever. And I rewatched it this past summer to show my kids, and I was like, man, I mean, it's still kind of, the graphics are, they're not, I can't say dated exactly. They definitely don't have the detail that the movies do now with the CGI. Yeah. But I thought the ship still looked super cool.
Yeah, they were actually really cool ships, and there were a lot of practical effects in there too. Not much CGI, if any CGI. They were pretty much doing the model thing at that time still, right?
Well, this Last Starfighter was the first movie that they did all the space stuff CGI.
Okay.
Like everything on Earth and the car, like everything that happened on Earth was real, but then when it was anything in space, it was all CG.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a sick, sad time when they inevitably redo that with the newer generation games and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually ordered mine, but yeah, I actually ordered mine, and I guess they actually are in preference. My number 5, and it's because it's so popular, and this inevitably makes every list, especially now since it's so popular now. It is the TARDIS from Doctor Who. It doesn't look like much, but that's because the circuit, whatever, chameleon circuit, I don't know. I know any Whovians that watch this is gonna ding me on that one, but it's stuck like that, so that's the excuse for that one, But I really like the TARDIS. It's a really cool ship, and I think what's so cool about it is, it's a living ship. That's really cool. and it I like the aspect of Doctor. I don't want to get into Doctor Who, but it's while yeah, that can last a long time. But I like the aspect of the ship that it's kind of like, even though it is science fiction, there's the kind of like that fantasy fairy tale kind of aspect. You know, it's kind of magical still. That's what I like about the TARDIS. And then I really like the war and battle TARDISes from the comics. Those are cool. Oddly enough, they're still boxes. So.
Yeah, I have to say, because after we talked, I looked at the TARDIS. Isn't it just a phone booth? I mean...
Yeah.
Okay, I just make sure I was...
You're going to get all those Doctor Who fans. Of course it's a phone booth, man. That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I tried to watch one episode, and it was the guy who was Malekith in Thor 2 was playing the Doctor. And all I kept thinking the whole time is, like, DeMarcus is out of his mind to tell me to watch this show.
Thumbs down, see?
Yeah. Like, all right, I can't trust DeMarcus anymore. But no, I think after that you told me to watch the David Tennant ones, and I just haven't bothered. Sorry.
Well, I'm just going to say what everyone says, just watch Blink. And if Blink doesn't do it for you, yeah.
Gotcha. I will try Blink eventually when I'm not watching Burn Notice. All right. My next one, and I'm gonna go. Man, none of mine are really recent, which is kind of crazy. This one is actually, I'm gonna jump to cartoon, and I'm gonna go to anime. And my next one is the YF-19 from the Macross Plus anime. And Macross Plus was the sequel to Robotech / Macross, and it was actually, I thought the movie was great. It's kind of like if you took the Robotech / Macross idea and made it a Top Gun movie. That's what the show was.
That's it.
Yeah. Perfect. And then the YF-19 was driven by Osamu Dyson, which, nerd alert, he was voiced by Bryan Cranston. And it's just a great looking ship, backwards wings, it's white, and then actually. It was because the show was the story was it was a competition between the YF-19 and the YF-21 about which one would be the next Veritech fighter, and in the following show after that, I think it was called like Macross Frontier or Macross 7. They all had the YF-19, so apparently he won. But that was one of my favorite. I just love the design of the ship. I thought in robot mode it looked really cool. Because the other one was like mind controlled and it was blue and kind of weird looking. I didn't really like it, but. Yeah, the YF-19, I love that. I've always wanted to buy one of the toys, but it's like $100, and I can't justify spending $100. I know I will open it, play with it, put it on a shelf, and never touch it again. I don't mind doing that for $10 or $15, but $20 is a lot of money to just, hey, I'm gonna put this on the bill, just sit on my desk, never touch it again. So yeah, I don't do that.
Well, it's funny you went to Macross for like number 4 because yeah, my number 4 is the SDF-1 from Robotech Macross, the first one.
Nice.
That's just the cool. That's just a really badass ship, man. It was really cool seeing them learn how to do it at the beginning because at first, I mean, before they learned how to, pull up the force field. They actually had like you remember they had the women they were they literally were moving around this little spot like they only managed to get the force field like at a very and they were like going crazy blocking all the and then it was really cool and they built the city in there. But
and then it transformed and destroyed it and killed everybody or something like that.
Yeah.
We're gonna defend you, or.
And I love, I love the voiceover. He just kind of casually mentions, "All right, well, the battle is over. Casualties 10,000." Like, wait a minute.
Two of which were because of battle.
Yeah.
The other 8,000 was because a transformation crushed everyone to death.
And the other ones unaccounted for, probably lost to the ship somewhere.
Yeah. They're in his armpit.
But the SDF-1, yeah. I mean, and then the space fold, oh, man.
Yeah.
Space fold operation. That was, yeah. So, all you youngsters, look it up. Come on now.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go for my number 3. I'm going to stay in animation. And it's kind of funny. I have very fond memories of this ship because when I was a kid, I used to play with Legos extensively. I don't know what is going on. I am so sorry. I have fleas. I should have dipped before I got on the show. But yeah,
allergens, yeah, down here.
yeah. But I used to have Legos, and I would every time I watch a movie, I would challenge myself and try and build the ship or the car. Like Aliens. I watched Aliens, and I built that car that all the soldiers got into out of Legos. But I would always destroy them, do something, Thunderbirds 2086. And I made the tank and the ship and the rocket, and they would transform and connect. I don't know if you even know what I'm talking about. Probably not. I think I was one of 5 people that watched that show.
Yeah.
But point being that I made, and the ship I'm talking about is from Silverhawks. It's called the Mirage.
Oh, there you go.
And I love that ship, and and it was one of the only things I ever built that I kept, because usually I would destroy whatever I built, because I had that car, and then be like, well, I'm gonna try and build this, so I would take it apart and build something else. But I kept the Mirage together for years and years because I just thought it was so cool looking, and I think I even went out and bought more sets so I wouldn't have to cannibalize the Mirage in order to build something else, and even to the point where I would have it, and I'd get a new set, and I'm like, oh wait, these are better wings, and I would disassemble it and add the new wings, and I think it even went so far at one point that I made sure that every single piece was either blue or white.
Oh man.
I'm not OCD, but I take my Legos seriously.
Silverhawks, man, I missed that show. Oh man,
DVD, brother, I was watching it the other day with my kids.
Is that on Netflix now, or is that no?
I bought the DVD. I'm one of those guys. I'll go to Amazon and I'm like, oh wow, that just came out. I'll wait for 3 months and buy it $10 used.
Yeah.
So I got the Silverhawks for $10 used, and now the second season or the second volume's out, so I need to go see if it's $10 used now. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're number 3.
I actually have to go check out Silverhawks because I really didn't watch it back in the day, and I was kind of I watched a few episodes, just didn't get it. I was so into Transformers, Mask, and G.I. Joe at that point, and it's unfortunate the new Thundercats show got booted off the air because they were kind of I thought they were going to build to Silverhawks thing and the Tiger Sharks. Yeah. At any rate, my number 3. Yep, keeping it in animation. My number 3 is from Transformers G1. It's not a flashy ship, but the Autobot Space Ark with Teletran 1 on it. Love that ship. I have no idea why, because I don't really like yellow, the color yellow, too much. But I don't know. I really like that ship. I guess the big thing is because the ship, when they crashed into the volcano, the ship remained pretty much intact for like millions of years, and it brought them back to life. Scanned all what they thought was the native life forms, which would be the vehicles that they transform into. One bad thing about it is they didn't. I guess something on the ship was damaged, and they couldn't distinguish Autobot from Decepticon. But yeah, I like the Ark. Ark is a really cool ship.
Yeah, I watched the cartoon and I read the comics, and I think the thing that always made me laugh is that they did the comic before the cartoon happened and did like a 4-issue miniseries.
Yeah.
And then they restarted the comic, but it was after the cartoon had become popular, so all of a sudden everything changed. And I remember the Ark didn't look anything like it did in the comic. And then when they restarted the comic, it was suddenly like, oh look, no, this is the Ark. I'm like, what? But yeah, I remember that because of the cool thing, which is what I liked in the comic, was that the Ark in the comic, the Autobots and Decepticons, did the whole thing with the ship crashing, and then Shockwave came looking for them, and then the Ark protected itself by creating the Dinobots. Because the life forms at the time were the dinosaurs, so they created Dinobots to fight Shockwave, and then they both fell in a tar pit and got trapped, and then because the end of the original miniseries, Shockwave killed everybody. So when the series started over, the Autobots were all dead and the Decepticons were kind of taken over, and the Dinobots come back. And what it was is that the oil, the whatever it is, the oil or the mud or whatever that they got trapped in, they ended up getting out of, and that the Dinobots ended up saving the Autobots, and it was a really cool storyline. I'm sorry, damn it, we're supposed to be staying on point. You gotta tell me to shut up.
Stay focused.
Focus. Point being, you're right. The Ark was a cool ship.
All right, you're number 2. They're just like, stay on task, guys.
Am I on number 2? Who's on number 2? I'm on number 2. Fine. All right. I'll keep it in animation, and I actually have a tie. My number 2 has a tie. That's a tie between one animation and one live action, and my tie is the Space Battleship Yamato from Space Battleship Yamato.
Yeah.
Or in America, I think we know it as Star Blazers.
Yep.
And then the other one is the Serenity, or the Firefly spaceship from Firefly. And those are kind of my number 2 tied. And that, again, and not really in order, but I really like those. I love, they actually redid the cartoon for Space Battleship Yamato. They rebooted it last year, and I watched them all, and it was amazing. Because they really got into the whole space battle thing and doing the whole, start a port and different things. And they had this submarine, but of course they're in space, so the submarine would kind of go into another dimension. So the little thing that comes up would kind of peek in our dimension, and they would fight. Anyway, I'll send you the link. You can watch it. If anybody wants to, go find Space Battleship Yamato. $21.99 is amazing. But the Yamato itself, it's a great ship, and I just thought it looked so awesome. And even in that show, they even made it even more incredible looking. And so that one is my number 2. And then, of course, if you're a geek and you have not watched Firefly, like, just go hang yourself.
I was gonna say smack yourself, but yeah.
Yeah, you gotta watch Firefly. It's a great show, but the ship in that was called the Serenity, and I just liked it because it was the first spaceship that I think I've ever watched where it actually made sense. Like, everything was in the right spot, everything, the progression, you could understand why it was laid out the way it was. I thought it was a cool looking ship. The VTO, I mean, it was just a great ship. I love the way it looked. I mean, of course, it had no offensive capabilities whatsoever.
Yeah,
but it was a cool ship. Do what?
I said it's not the most powerful ship, but yeah, it's just, like you said, everything's laid out just right, and you get a real sense of scale. I think because the sets were actually built to scale. I think the sets were actually...
Yeah, for the TV show, they weren't built on top of each other. But the one staircase was the separation. But yeah, you could literally, when they made the movie, no, I take it back. No, they kept it separate. But yeah, there was one of those, like, everything was exactly how it would be laid out for the ship.
Yeah. Oh man, and a decade later, we still got the fans wanting it back.
Yeah. Well, we should have went to see the movie.
It's funny, yeah. Seriously, I think right now, as far as Firefly goes, I think well, there's always rumblings about a comeback, but I don't really think it's going to happen. They're saying maybe there's possible life in a limited, like, TV kind of thing, or maybe even a Netflix kind of thing. But I'm like, Nathan Fillion has at least 2 more years on Castle. That's not going to happen. So, but
yeah, no, I can't imagine they'd be able to, not this long.
No,
I mean, all I would think about is like Arrested Development, where they brought it back on Netflix, and the Netflix season in Arrested Development was crap. That was a horrible. Yeah. That was real bad, at least to me.
And but I will suggest that new book, Leaves on the Wind. It actually picks up. It's a comic book from Dark Horse, I think. Yeah, Dark Horse. And it picks up right after the movie, and it's a great comic. So, Firefly fans, well, I'm sure Firefly fans know about it, but check it out though.
Cool, we will check it out. What's your number 2?
Number 2.
Keep it on point.
Science nerd. Science nerd. My science nerd choice. It's funny because this one's a weird kind of choice because the show was grounded in reality. And it was hosted by Carl Sagan. It's the original Cosmos. All that, more or less is fact or whatever. Real science. But he chose to host it from a fictional ship called the Starship of the Imagination. Really obscure choice, I know. It's funny because the ship itself on the outside, it looked like a glowing. I've heard people describe it as a glowing sunflower seed. Not really impressive looking on the outside, but on the inside, it had just from the captain's chair, from these huge cathedral, ceilings and everything. I mean, it was really surreal. It was really surreal, and then very moody because the music that he chose. So yeah, that's my really obscure choice, the Starship of the Imagination from Cosmos. So, and it was kind of funny because when I saw the commercial for the new Cosmos that's going to be hosted by Neil deGrasse Tyson, I was like, what's with all this cinematic crap? I was a little worried about it. And then I went back and watched the original Cosmos, and I was like, oh, yeah. So he actually had a fictional ship, and it was a bit, they really did kind of go for a movie thing there, too, so it wasn't anything new. So Starship of the Imagination, that's my number 2.
I now have to look that up because I don't know what you're talking about.
Just watch the original Cosmos. I mean, but it's if you're into that side, if you're into science, and it's really cool. So there you go.
Cool. All right. So my number 1. Let's see. Number one. Yes. This should come as a surprise to nobody, since I myself am a scoundrel.
Uh-oh.
But I got to, man. It has been my favorite ship since I was a kid. Even now, when I first thought of this idea, it was number 1. Like I said, the other ones weren't necessarily in order. But number 1, favorite ship of all time, Millennium Falcon.
There you
I
go.
love that ship. I mean, even today, I watch Empire Strikes Back, and he goes to the asteroids. I'm just like, yes. I mean, it should not make any sense how we could fly that thing, because the cockpit's on this, and you see how the whole ship on. But I thought that ship was awesome. I mean, it just really, it's one of those ships that shouldn't be cool because it's just like a round circle with a off the side.
Yeah, it's weird.
But it just works, and it's just this. It's got the lasers. It's got the you can. It's just because it's so flat, and you get that sense of banking and moving around, and it was I just love it. I think it that's my favorite ship of all time. I can watch just those scenes of the Falcon in Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi all the time. I love watching, that to me that was what made the Return of the Jedi Death Star attack, was the fact that the Falcon was there.
And it's iconic. Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, that's Star Wars.
Yeah, it's Star Wars. It's Han Solo's ship,
Yeah, I was gonna get on a tangent about gaming, flying the Millennium Falcon, but I'll skip over that. But one thing I will say though is when they turn that thing, it's also not only is it an awesome vehicle, but like over the years they've had it's made for a pretty great playset too. You take the top off and most of the ship's there. So yeah, Millennium Falcon's a really cool ship for number 1. For your number 1.
Yeah.
I just realized for our number 1 ships, I guess we have like opposing franchises here. My number 1 ship, I know people the show doesn't get any love, but I mean, come on, man. Benjamin Sisko, Captain Sisko, man, come on. He designed this ship. My number 1 is the Defiant from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. That ship to me it's just a badass ship, and as far as really cool looking, but I think what I really like about it is it probably has to be one of the first. I'm not sure if it's the first, but one of the first ships, of course in canon, one of the first Starfleet ships that was built for combat. Yeah. So yeah, I think that was really cool, and I like the fact that it goes into it cloaks. I think it was the only Starfleet ship. I'm sure if any, Trekker sees this, they'll correct me. But I definitely know it goes in the cloak. I'm not sure if it was at that point when it was first introduced, if it was the only Starfleet ship that went in the cloak. And I think it fires while cloaked, but I'm not sure about that. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, because I think I watched Deep Space Nine the first season off and on, and then I just kind of lost interest. And then my favorite character in the Next Generation was Riker.
Yeah.
guest starred in one of the episodes. So I was like, I'll go watch it again. And I'm watching it, and they're talking about this Defiant ship, and I'm like, what ship? There was no ship the last time I watched the show. And they showed it, and I was like, wow, cool. So they actually are going places, not just hanging out in their own neighborhood. But I think I liked the ship, but at the time, I think my only problem was that it didn't look like a starship, a Starfleet vessel. I just thought
Yeah.
it looked like I thought it was really cool looking, but I just thought it looked really. It looked like it should have been in. I know you're probably gonna kill me for saying this. Like it should have been in Babylon 5 or something. That's what it looked like because it was because you look at any other Star Trek series and they have the big disc or the trowel depending on which series.
Yeah.
And then it comes down. You got the body or the whatever. What is it? The anthropods, whatever. And then it
Yeah.
comes out and you've got the nacelles because the whole thing of the warp drive surfing on the whatever. So that's why, like, I was like, that's kind of odd to be in this. But then I think even after that, they started kind of getting away from the whole disc with the nacelles.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, and I think that's one reason why I liked it because it was just so different at that point. And I mean, because it was in D Space Nine, that show was different and everything. So, yep, my number one is definitely Defiant. It's funny. Ugly ships. I realized I'd forgotten it, and I just remembered it. Skylinks from Transformers G1. Horrible.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to go back real quick. It just popped on my head. I remember thinking the Defiant was pretty cool, and the whole thing was that it was designed to fight the Borg. And then in the movie where it fights the Borg, it got almost destroyed immediately.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Hey, it was a cool ship. Come back to our ship because we need you in our movie." Like, what? Got a bum rap. I felt bad about that because I was like, "Man, really?" But anyway,
Yeah, convenient.
Skylinks, yes, Skylinks was ugly.
Now, one thing, because I know we have to go, because we'll start talking for about 30 more minutes. I didn't run this past you, but there's nothing bad on this website. Now, for the really geeky, there's this web page. I'm not sure if you've seen it before. It's called Starship Dimensions, and it's at www.merzo.net, merzo.net. And what's so cool about this one, I don't think you can do it on Chrome. What's so cool about it, he lists, I'm not going to say all of them, but he lists a lot of spaceships. And he puts them all to scale. And I know, like, if you're still on Internet Explorer, I'm not sure about Firefox, you can actually drag the ships and compare the size and whatever. And he has, like, different scales, of ships. He has, like these really massive ships. He goes as far as Unicron,
Oh wow.
So yeah, you can take a Borg cube and you can put it up against ship from Farscape and just all these different ships. It's a really cool website, and if you're a sci-fi geek, you're gonna lose time on that page. So
Nice. Now I found a picture when I was doing research, and someone had put all these different spaceships on just one.
Yeah.
Like you could zoom in and look at it, and it was Farscape, it was Babylon 5, it was Star Trek. I don't think there was any Star Wars ships in it. No, there were, but it was like because it was about bigger ships. So
Yeah.
like the Carillion cruisers and all those ships were in there, and it was they had like the space station from Star Trek. I think they had Deep Space Nine in there. They had it was just this huge, and it really did. It was like everyone showing like the different sizes, and you definitely have that moment of going, wow, the Avenger, which is the starship that Vader had in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, that thing was humongous.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much bigger it was than everything, and it was almost the biggest thing on the entire thing.
Yeah. So all you sci-fi geeks, check that stuff out. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
we'll put it on. Send me the link. I'll put it on the link down below. We're gonna put together a video so you can see the pictures of the ships we're talking about. And I guess that's about it, unless you got something else you want to add, because otherwise we're going to start talking about something else, and before you know it, it'll be 3 hours of, well, do you remember when, you open the thing and the Silverhawks would come out and you'd be like, whoosh, and
And the Creo Deep Dungeons and Dragons.
yeah, then Driss was like,
No,
why
that's
did they mess up his swords? I hate the fact that they messed up his swords and they made them. Their scimitars look like pirate, and dang it, all right.
Yeah, so we're gonna keep it. Where are we at now? Does it have a time?
I think we're at 25, so we should probably cut it.
All right. So that's it.
All right, guys. This is Mr. J for Fanboy JunKtion. DeMarcus is going to sign off for us.
Man, D, thanks for watching. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I will again put the links of some of the stuff we're talking about. We'll put DeMarcus's link down there. We pimped it last time. I finally did appear in the G.I. Joe show.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We'll put the link to that episode on the bottom. See me as Cobra Commander. But that's about it. Guys, thanks again for watching. Email me at fanboyjunction@gmx.com if you have any questions. Comment below. Flame it, whatever you guys want to do. I'd love to hear what spaceships you guys like, what spaceships you don't like. And we will catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Please like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Subscribe. Bye.